Okay, so this is one of my grow beds that I'm doing, and whether or not I choose for this to be a flood and drain or a constant flow, I can use the same type of plumbing for the base. Now this is just a 90mm cap that I've already put a hole through, and what that will do, oopsie, that means I can put a guard up to make sure that I don't get any gravel or anything like that coming in. So whether or not it's going to be a bell siphon or we're just going to have it as a constant flow, same process. What we will be doing, so this is a 20 mil pipe and the fitting that goes into it, and I've made sure that I've got an O-ring on it, and it will literally go through there and in there. And we'll also have an O-ring underneath, but at the moment I've still got to drill a hole, but that's going to be how high the water can get up within the grow bed. So you make sure that you put everything in a measure where you would like it to be. Now this is the height that it's going to be. I'm very comfortable with that. I think that was about 20 centimetres, actually I think about 23 centimetres in height. So that's okay. Now, where do I want the hole to go? Don't just go drilling a hole. I'm thinking, you can see here how we've got the higher and the lower. We want this to be flat, flush, flat as much as possible. So that is okay, because I'm going to have the water coming in here, and that is perfect for me. And I can measure that, or I can go by how I am. This is hole drill. I've got several different types of hole drills, but this one is 25mm for this particular hole. Sweet. Now we need to get all of this crap off, but you'll see, oopsie, that this will fit nicely and snugly through here, which is exactly what we're wanting. Okay, so where is my knife? That is a very good question, Candy. Where is my knife? Yeah. I love the cameraman is getting me my very sharp knife. And we're just going to take that edging off to make sure that it will have a nice snug fit. We don't want leaks, especially in a weaker part of the system. And that is also fine underneath. Fold up knife, do not leave knife open. This is how simple things can be with a little bit of preparation. So I have the O-ring here, but I want it underneath. And I'll show you how to make the guard. What we want this to be, oh my gosh, as tight as, I've got silicone on my hands, tight as possible. Nope, not tight enough. Keep going. You might be able to see that it's almost there. O-ring. And then screwing that in. We want this whole section to be as tight as possible. Now, with the guard, we will be having holes in it, but at the moment I'm really just wanting to show you the whole plumbing aspect. You'll see that there is a slight little elevation. That's because of the O-ring. Now I have, and I'll flip it over so I can show you. So that will be sitting in here, and we'll have the guard on the outside. Now, bear with me. Don't throw that in there because that's been slickened. Now, I keep trying to move it and ain't enough room. That's alright. Okay, so we're wanting to put an O-ring on this side as well. And then we have the female component of that, and we're screwing this on. So we want both of these to be very, very tight to prevent leaks. That is some of the basic fundamental plumbing of setting up your grow bed. We'll be able to show you the rest in the next video. Alrighty, so we're now putting plumbing into this little grow bed for our barrel aquaponics. Now, when you're wanting to know the size of what you're doing, you do need to make sure that you've got your measuring tape and your measure. So we want to have, a little bit of space up here. If you allow for the 1 centimetre of space where there's going to be no gravel, and then you allow a couple of centimetres, generally about 5 centimetres, where it's what we have dry gravel. So we don't want that area to get wet, but we want everything else to get wet. Whether that's a flood and drain system or a constant flow system, you do want to have a large wet area because that's where your bacteria is, so that's your big filter. But you want to have a dry area as well, that way you don't get any algae growing on your grow bed. Okay, so in this particular grow bed, on this side, I'm going to have it just as a constant flow, meaning the water is constantly flowing through and it's going to be constantly flooded. Okay, and not every vegetable likes that, but most do. Most are fine with that, but some, especially root crops, don't really like that. And what we've got in here, we'll show you the flood and drain one soon, but we have the guard, and what this is this, we pop this around our plumbing and it stops all of the gravel from getting into our plumbing. So we've got to make it and have this ready. So with this particular one, I've just drilled it, just using the largest drill bit I had and making sure that none of the clay is going to be able to fit through those particular holes. And I have screwed, and you can see that there's little markings here. So I've identified where each screw hole needs to be. So here we've got 3, and here we've got 2, and here are the screw holes. It holds it in place so that no one can walk past and go, hey, what does this do? Yank it out, and then messes up what you're doing. So I used to bolt everything in, and I have to give credit. I saw a YouTube of Rob Gray, and he suggested the screwing it in. So yay to him, great thought. So that's what we will be doing. And you can see on the bottom, we've got the cap. This we attach within our plumbing, and we want to make sure it's all worked together so that it doesn't fall out. So how high, and this is our standpipe, I should go into that one first, isn't it? We've got the 3 parts. You've got your male fitting that will go through the grow bed, and we'll screw it at the other end. We have the pipe, and this is a reducer. So this is a 20 mil pipe, and it's a 25 to a 20 reducer. This just allows for the water to come into your standpipe quicker. How do I know how high I want it to be? Well, if that's going to be too high, right? Because there's no area for the dry media, is there? This is just telling you. But it's actually going to be sinking down this much down into the grow bed. So after you measure how high you want it to be, this is a 30 centimetre depth, which is what we do recommend for good root structure as well as stability, and just so you've got enough bacteria within your grow bed happening. You then just go through and you deduct how much it's going to be, and this can possibly even still be a bit shorter than what it is. But that's okay, because we're just demonstrating and your grow bed and what you're going to do. You'll see on this particular male fitting, I've got an O-ring. Sometimes you can buy them together, and sometimes you have to buy them separately. Just making sure you do know to do that. The first step, we've already got, let's move the guard out of the way. We've already got our hole here that we drilled, which fits in nice and snug, but we've got the O-ring on this side, and we'll have an O-ring underneath it as well. So we want to put the guard here, and then put our fitting coming in next, but we want to make sure that we've got the O-ring at the bottom. Okay, and you can see I've taken all of the rough edges off, so there's no sharp edges here. In fact, I've got a spare O-ring. I think you can't have too many personally. I'm going to pop this back where it was. Screw this into the guard. It's a nice tight fit, which is excellent. And you do want to get it as tight and as low as you can get it, because this is what's going to cause the suction happening if you're doing it as a flood and drain. As I don't want any leaks, this is why I'm putting an O-ring on this side. This is the key O-ring, the one on here is an extra. And then we can just screw this into the hole on this side. Alright. And I can feel that's gone through. Now I need to move my screws out of here. So we have pockets. And we're going to keep the standpipe out as well for the minute. Turn that over, and if you're doing it on a big aquaponics system, you're going to have to get underneath it. Okay, second, or in my case third, O-ring here helps with the leaks. And then we're screwing, this is the female part on. And nice and tight, and what that's doing as I'm putting pressure on both, that's screwing it in from underneath as well. And that is the outlet. So this is where the water is going to be coming in, and this is where the water is going to be coming out. This is our standpipe, which shows how high it's going to be. Now, that's possibly a centimetre too high, so I'm just going to cut off an extra centimetre there to make sure it's not too high. And with the guard, this is where we reline up our points, screw these in, and what this does, water will come in here and it will come up, and as soon as it hits this reducer, it'll flow in there and into the fish tank or into your sump or however you got your system set up. That is as complicated as it can be, or as simple as you want it. You can also make this a lot more complicated. So this is for a constant flow setup. Let's have a look at another video and see what we can do about making this into a flood and drain.